Thank you, Greg, for the invitation to be here and to be on this distinguished panel. We certainly fit into the category of elephant hunters, and I'm happy to be able to tell you that story today. Chakana Copper was formed about 18 months ago. We spent a year as a private company. We acquired a very exciting asset that I'm going to fill you in on briefly today. We raised money, started drilling that asset, had some really outstanding results. It did involve out-of-the-box thinking, which I think is a critical part of discovery. It is considered a new discovery, not in the sense of the first drill hole that went into one of these mineralized breccia pipes, but the fact that we recognize these breccia pipes as potential ore bodies compared to previous explorers. So it's an important part of the story. We've raised $22 million since the start. We started trading publicly on the TSX under the symbol Peru January 31st, and we've been well received by the market. We've had a trend in our stock price, much like many of the companies here as of late, but we continue to put out good results, and you'll see that on a consistent basis. The high-level summary, this is a different deposit model than many of you might be used to. They're tourmaline breccia pipes. They're actually quite common throughout North and South America. Oftentimes these breccia pipes get mined and commingled in porphyry camps, so it's not clear as to how much production actually comes out of these tourmaline breccia pipes, but there's really four things you need to know about tourmaline breccia pipes. They often occur in clusters. It's not uncommon to have 30, 40, 50 pipes in a single cluster. They're vertically extensive. The Los Zapatos pipe in the Rio Blanco district in Chile is over 2 kilometers vertical extent. It's a very common feature. They often get bigger at depth as opposed to diatreme type breccias, which flare outward and erupt at surface. These are breccia pipes that form without erupting at surface, so they have different morphologies. And oftentimes they have really spectacular grades on the margins of the pipe. And that has to do, I'll explain that a little bit later, but it means that you have to drill these pipes from a different approach. You actually want to go across the margins of the pipe to figure out the geometry, to test these margin grades, and to chase that breccia body at depth. The summary slide here just shows some of the results from drilling of the first two breccia pipes. We've just eclipsed 15,000 meters of drilling on the project. We're in a resource drilling mode. We've completed 58 drill holes. We're drilling two principal pipes to start with. Breccia pipe 1, you can see some of the grades there, 209 meters of 3.01% copper equivalent, about half the value in gold, half the value in copper. People keep asking me, is this a copper project or is it a gold project? And it's actually somewhat hard to answer, but it will produce a copper concentrate. It does have high gold. It's got a great combination of byproduct metals to go with it. Breccia pipe 5 is also very strongly mineralized. It's averaging about 1.5% copper equivalent, slightly higher value in the gold than the copper compared to breccia pipe 1, but still very impressive numbers. In terms of the 6% Club, I guess it's a privilege for me to work with the two gentlemen shown on this slide. Doug Kerwin is a legend in my mind in the industry, well over 40 years of experience in the industry. He's our chairman. Doug is a recognized global expert in these tourmaline breccia systems, and he was instrumental in focusing our attention on the fact that the breccia pipes themselves were the real prize at the Soledad project, not trying to discover a deep conceptual porphyry, which was really the focus of previous explorers. John Black is here. He spoke yesterday, very successful track record as a CEO, as a discoverer. Both of those gentlemen are certainly in the 6% Club, and the three of us there make up the technical committee on the Chakana board. Very strong, deep technical experience, and that just transcends itself down to the technical team that we have in Peru operating the project. The project's located in central Peru. It's in Ancash province. It's just south of the Piarina mine. It's west of the Antamina mine. Those two mines are largely responsible for Ancash being one of the best places in Peru to be. It's a mining province. Mining is part of the culture. A lot of the surface rights in Ancash have already been privatized, so you're dealing with private landowners as opposed to communities. It's in a very good infrastructure setting in terms of road network. There's grid power. There's plentiful water. It's a very good place to be from a mining perspective. The view on the screen here is a Google Earth view. It's looking north. All the circles there represent outcropping mineralized tourmaline breccia pipes at surface. These are things that stick right out of the ground. They're very obvious features. There's 9 circles on the list there. All of the stars represent highly altered, sheeted quartz sericite tourmaline vein altered andesitic host rock. That's exactly what we see when we're above the pipes or beside the pipes. So the potential here is to significant. We could easily double the number of pipes that we know of today, but even with the 9 pipes that we have, we think there's exceptional tonnage potential. We've already proven the grade profile of 2 of the pipes being really exceptional in my mind. And some of the other nice attributes, there's an operating mine just to the east. We're in a mining area. It's a mining district. It's active. The relief on the property goes 500 meters from the highest pipe down to the valley bottom. So access to mine the pipe from underneath is something that the project is well situated with. A little bit about tourmaline breccia pipes. I've already told you the 4 most important things you need to know about them. They get bigger at depth, they're vertically extensive, they often have exceptional grades at the margins, and they're plentiful. They occur in clusters, so there's lots of pipes. The reason that the grades are oftentimes much higher on the edges of the pipe, and it's not everywhere, it depends on the geometry of the pipe, but it has to do with the permeability and the porosity. These are breccias that formed from a violent explosion. The breccia fragments collapsed in on itself, and then it was just left with breccia fragments and open space. The second event that formed the mineralized pipes is a hydrothermal fluid enters the breccia column, and it flows wherever the permeability and porosity is the highest, and that's oftentimes at the margins of the pipe. If you step by the booth, you can see some of the spectacular core that we have from our drilling. We get actual, massive and semi-massive sulfides in the margins of the pipe, and then matrix-filled sulfides in the interior of the pipe. Real important aspect about Soledad, it's mineralized generally throughout the entire breccia body, in the interior as well as on the exterior. Two views, a map on the left, and these are snapshots in time. That was from September after we released our very first 5 drill holes, and then a cross-section on the right that's based off a 3D LEAPFROG model, just giving you a sense of where we come from since last August when we started drilling. You can see some of the drill intercepts there, 209 meters of I can't even read it here, 3% copper equivalent, 113 meters of 3.95%, really spectacular grades. But you can also see the style of drilling. We're drilling around a radial pattern at different azimuths and different dip angles, and that's really to chase the geometry of the pipe and testing for these margin grades. If you notice the drill hole that's going generally north, you see about 35 meters out from the main breccia body, there's an intercept out there. It turns out that was a discovery hole in what we now call the north zone. As we've drilled out away from the principal body, we've discovered another breccia that sits there. It's a blind pipe. It's one of the reasons we know what the edges and tops of blind pipes look like, and it's got essentially the same tonnage potential as the original pipe. So even just in our first few months of drilling, we were able to double the tonnage potential of one of the primary mineralized pipes that we started drilling on. If we go down another, probably a better way to even look at the extent of the pipes is through level plans. The map on the left is 60 meters below surface. You can see the principal breccia body has it's about 50 meters by 40 meters. It's slightly oval shaped, but if you go down another 100 meters, it almost doubles in size. It's gotten a lot significantly larger. You can start to see the formation of the north breccia zone just to the north of that. Those 2 bodies actually come close, very close to touching further at depth, and we think that potentially these will just coalesce into one much larger pipe. In terms of the textures that we see, shingle breccias are very common. They're flat tabular clast. It's a function of the way the pipes formed, but they're They're full of open space, and so most of the time you see mineralization sitting in the matrix of the breccia. On the upper right, just two examples of the different sulfide textures we see at Soledad, almost identical to Los Sulfatos, which is the giant elephant of all tourmaline breccia pipes. It's about 1.2 billion tons of 1.46% copper in the Rio Blanco district of Chile. Really spectacular, exact same type of ore system. I'm also pointing out some of the spectacular margin grades we get. Those 6 meters of drill core that you see over there, right on the margin of the breccia, almost 14 grams gold and 3.66% copper. But importantly, in a continuously mineralized 74-meter intercept with 3.3 grams gold and 1.1% copper, a very typical grade that we see at Soledad. Some of the two different styles of mineralization. Dominantly, we have the upper photo, which is sulfides in the matrix of the breccia. Notice the flat tabular class. Everything in that rock is completely altered. Sericite, quartz, tourmaline are the primary alteration minerals occurring with sulfides, dominantly chalcopyrite and pyrite. The lower photo shows a more intense style of mineralization where the clasts themselves are being completely replaced by sulfides. Both generate really spectacular grades. In terms of gold, I mentioned that we have a lot of gold in this system, and we're fortunate that the gold sits in a free form. We see two different styles. On the right is a photomicrograph from Breccia Pipe 1, free blubs of gold in pyrite in the 20 to 100 micron range, a very good range for recovery, size range for recovery. On the left is a really spectacular view of a gold grain, a single gold grain that's about 2.8 millimeters long, occurring along sulfide grain boundaries. Chalcopyrite is our dominant copper mineral, a very friendly copper mineral from a recovery standpoint. This is not a high sulfidation system. We do not see enargite. We do have arsenopyrite in Breccia Pipe 1. It's a very pure, petrographically, it's a very pure mineral phase. It doesn't have copper minerals growing with it, and we don't see arsenopyrite growing in chalcopyrite. So we think metallurgically this mineralization is going to process well. We've just sent the first 4 composite samples to RDI in Denver to begin the met work. Again, we've done the petrology, we understand the mineralogy, and we think that the metallurgy is going to come out well. Just some early thoughts on mineability. These won't be caved, underground caves. The best way to mine these things is with a selective bulk mining technique, such as long hole stoping. You can get big tons out of an underground mine that's being mined by long hole stoping, but it's also selective, so you can choose the blocks that you want to mine early in the mine life. You can see on the left diagram is the conceptual ramp system that would link multiple pipes at the same time. So the potential here is to mine multiple pipes at the same time. You could even mine multiple elevations within a single pipe to get production where you want it. The mining engineer we're working with that's come up with his views on the project sees a 10,000 ton per day underground operation on pipe-like bodies like this as something that would be really straightforward to achieve, assuming we get the resources. So we think the mineability of this is going to be good. We like the fact that our mineral density is going straight down as opposed to vein systems that runs across the countryside for kilometers. All of our mineral density is tightly compact in a small field and going straight down. Just in terms of an investment opportunity, if you invest in Chakana, obviously you get a very experienced team that's solely focused on this asset at the time. We're not a project generator. We're not gonna have a portfolio of multiple projects. We're gonna stay focused on what we consider to be early discovery stage projects that have the potential to be in production in a short period of time, and really focus our energy on that. Quickly on the share structure, 80 million shares outstanding. We're trading at about 70 cents, about a $60 million market cap, and our shares are currently on a discount of about 30%, so please buy. Thank you.